News, and we are shooting from the Nairobi Serena. Obviously, in the 47 counties of Kenya, there are only 3 professors who are governors: West Pokot, Kivuda Kibwana, and my brother, Professor Nyong'o. Because you're a professor, it would be wrong for me not to ask you about university education. And for you've been an author, but also you've been a scholar and a teacher.
Wow.
I want to hear a bit of what you think. Where are we now in university education?
I think it's good that we have many public universities as well as private universities in this country. I think that's a good idea. What we need to concentrate on is the quality of university education, not just in terms of teaching, but also in terms of research and applied research. To what extent is research in universities being applied to socioeconomic problems and government policy in our country? That is very important. I would like the university in my own county, one of the biggest universities, Maseno University, to work with us very closely, and we are indeed working very closely, and this should happen in every county. The other thing I want to say is, I'm glad we're moving back to lay emphasis on technical training institutes and applied institutes. So that
could I push you a bit there, Professor?
Yeah.
Given the handshake and the environment, you and Kenyatta now talk more than before. Would you not take up that matter?
I would take it up, but I think I must congratulate the President for bringing up this issue of technical education and technical training institutes where entry, and TVETs, where entry is much more relaxed than going to university. In Germany, 75% of students who graduate from high school go to polytechnics. And by the way, when they train and they're employed, sometimes they earn much better salary than graduates. You know, now we lack plumbers, we lack electricians, we lack plant management persons and so on, simply because we killed a lot of polytechnics, or those that we have been giving substandard education. I think we must put a lot of resources at the county level on technical training, okay?
Yes.
Because that is what will help our economy and will give these individuals jobs.
I wanted to talk to you a bit about the quality of the degrees. There has been a lot of bad publicity about selling degrees, fake degrees, the unbelievability of the quality of the education given because of the certification.
Well, this is a challenge to each individual university. And there should also be a national system that grades and checks quality in university education, a body that is really competent and capable. And I think the principle of having visitation, visitation means a chancellor decides that he wants to appoint a special committee to look into the university and give a report on the status of the university and whether the degrees we are giving are international competitive and so on. I have seen very few visitation committees in our universities. That means that chancellors are not really doing the work they should be doing.
Just like we have the peer review.
Yeah, that's why with peer review, I think we should have more visitation committees every so often going to university, maybe every 10 years or so, and younger universities should have visitation committees every 5 years to make sure that they're growing properly and giving quality degrees and that they are institutionalizing integrity in the university. Another thing is that if there's lack of integrity in the way degrees are offered, then they lose their value.
Professor, what role can alumni play in ensuring where they land don't collapse? It's very common in Europe for alumni to be very strong in helping guide the quality.
I think that's very important. I am an alumnus of Makerere University. And to tell you the truth, since I left Makerere, I've gone there to give lectures and whatnot and participate in debates. But I don't think that we have gone back to Makerere at the alumni, an alumni association like you have in Harvard. I taught in Harvard briefly, and I'm still getting the newsletter of the alumni, okay? It's not there. Fortunately, the guild president, the guild is kind of a student union there, wrote me recently and said they want me to go back there and they're calling back alumni to help build the guild. I think that's a very good initiative. I was once president of the guild when I was there, and I think that's a very good initiative. It can then begin a momentum from having alumni of Makerere get involved in the life, the policies, and the growth of the university.
Now, Professor, as a friend, I know you went through challenge, a medical challenge with cancer, and you've spoken about it. And I just, it's become a major killer in this country, and maybe as media, we are exposing it more now than then. Perhaps you have some thoughts.
My thoughts are that, first and foremost, there should be public education about cancer. That's one of the things we're doing in the African Cancer Foundation. We are laying a lot of emphasis, not just on regular checkups and camps, people come and check their status, but on public education about cancer. Basically, really, one of the things that we should do is understand that what comes with diseases, including cancer, depend on what we eat, first and foremost. And the lifestyle we lead, exercising and keeping healthy is very important. And people exercise in very many ways. You walk and so on. And also having some leisure time. That's why in Kisumu, I'm very particular about creating institutions where people can have leisure time, because that can pass and parcel of good health, and that should go up to the village level. In the past, in traditional society, it was taken for granted, because traditional society had all kinds of ways of creating leisure time, by the way. I remember when I was growing up, there are all kinds of events and cultural activities that brought people together just to be relaxed and create social bonds. We have become a very atomized society where people are dying without having the social support they need, and they could have prevented those diseases to begin with. So I think a public education system that tells people, not scare them about cancer, but just tell them, look, this is a disease we are living with, and we should prevent it in this way.
I want to talk about early detection. What helped you, having detected, or there's an issue that you detect it?
Yes. The earlier you detect cancer, the better for its treatment.
I see.
And even these days, by the way, even if you detected late, science has developed in such a way that you can deal with even metastasized cancer. The problem is that what is available in the market is very expensive. That's why I have a universal healthcare system. It would be good, because then we domesticate those methods of treatment and make it accessible to people.
I want to ask you to look into the rear view mirror. Having served at the highest levels in national government, Minister for Planning, Minister for Health, or then it was called Medical Services. And now you've gone to the local level at the county. Change of lifestyle, change of station. Nyong'o, what's your experience about being governor of Kisumu County, Kisumu City?
My experience is that it's a very challenging task, but it's a rewarding task, because you see the result of what you do on a daily basis. You are changing people's lives. You can actually shape how people's lives are changed. I'll give you an example. I believe on evidence-based policy. When I came in, I got a study to tell on transportation system in Kisumu. How do people go to work? Some go on bicycles, some go on tuk-tuk, some go on motorbikes, some go in by cars, matatus, and so on. But some walk. And I found that 67% of our people in Kisumu walk to work. Then I said, when I looked at our roads, I said, some of the roads don't have pavements. They have to walk on the road where matatus, taxis, and the possibility of accident is very high. One of the things I started doing is that we must have pavements and walkways in the city. And every road that is built should have a paveway. Then we must have proper drainage in the city. Because I found that the drainage system was so bad that when it rains, the city floods. We had to deal with basic things like those. Now, those are the things that make a difference to people when they see their life chances on a daily basis being looked after by the government. They are not difficult things to do, but you have to put resources to them, and over time, they make a big difference.
Professor, there was something in the news of acrimony at MCAs, speakers. Has that...
I think that we have settled.
Is that now running?
It was a power struggle.
And it is settled? It is
settled. And we are now working very, very well with both the speaker and the MCAs and so on, because we realize we have a common duty. After 5 years, the people will ask us, when you were in office, what did you do? It doesn't matter who you are, whether you are a government, a speaker, or an MCA. It's like the story of the talents. Some people were given 10 talents, they used it, they produced 20.
Yes.
Another one was given 8, they produced 16. Another one given 2, come back with 4. The one that was given 1 said, Lord, you are a very mean man. I put in the ground, here it is. The Lord sent him to hell. So the people want to say...
So point blank,
yeah.
there is harmony in Kisumu County Hall.
Yeah.
Now coming to the Matunda handshake.
Yeah.
Rais na Prime Minister Raila Odinga walisema kwamba Lake Victoria ilikuwa muhimu kwao sana.
Yeah, ndio.
What has gone on? Na matokeo ni siku gani?
Yeah, very good question. You know, when I wrote my manifesto, I said that we want to revive maritime transport on the lake. I didn't realize it's such a complicated and expensive thing. It turned out that a 3 billion shillings undertaking, the county cannot do that. Fortunately, the government came to our aid and said we are going to modernize the port. And they put in the 3 billion shillings, and it's a completely new story. In fact, MV Uhuru has started taking oil tankers to Uganda. They have done about 26,000 tons already or something like that. And the Ugandan things are also coming in. So even before the opening, the port is operational. But the reason why it has been... I
don't want to lose the opening.
Yeah.
When is it projected to be?
It's projected to be any time after the 2nd of February. That is the
So go ahead. I didn't want to...
Now, so the port is already functioning, which gives me a lot of satisfaction. But we must look at it in terms of the blue economy. What does the blue economy mean? It just doesn't mean big tankers going on the lake. It means better fishing on the lake. It means making use of a lake shore as a productive area and a leisure area. Like the Ngina Park in Mombasa, where people can go and relax, walk with their girlfriends and wives, have something to eat, have some music to dance to, have some ice cream to eat for the kids and so on, and a place just to sit and relax. But Kisumu had this misfortune of turning its back to the lake.
So Prof, I'm chasing time, so sorry to rush you through.
Yeah.
I want to cover some ground. In terms of the hyacinth, the problem...
Hyacinth.
The hyacinth.
Yeah.
Where are we now in that problem?
One, we already have a hyacinth harvester ready to harvest the hyacinth when it comes. You know, the hyacinth is seasonal. It goes and comes back. We have also ordered a machine from India, which is sitting here at the internal container depot, waiting procedures to be cleared. And the Indian High Commissioner who was in Kisumu this weekend, when it comes, we shall go and launch it in Kisumu. So we are preparing to deal with the hyacinth, okay?
Will it be done this year?
It will be done this year. But you see, the hyacinth cannot be harvested all at once because it's a continuous thing that goes on because the weed multiplies very fast.
As governor of Kisumu County, this rehabilitation by government, 3 billion injected into Lake Victoria, the plans to harvest the hyacinth, what will it mean for real jobs? I know you've said the leisure, the opening up, etc. In hotels, terms of the Kisumu, in the economy of Kisumu, kwa mtu wa kawaida.
It will help, it will give a lot of jobs. First of all, just the fact that you have the maritime transport working with the lake, people working there need food. It means that the Mama Mboga will take Mboga there for them. Workers coming out of the port need food. It means that the eateries we are talking about, which are usually by local people, will find a market for their eateries. Another thing that in the ships, in the barges and so on, they will need workers. These workers will come from Kenya, Tanzania, and Kenya. And further, I see hotels growing on the lakeshore. They employ people. You see what I mean? And at the moment, we are creating a complex market, business center for the small traders.
I want to go to the port. What are the goods that you see? You talked about oil. What are the things that will be serviced?
It's a challenge to us. One of the things, we have a very high potential horticultural industry, which we must invest in, okay, as a county, and the counties surrounding the lake.
It's good you're having the local. There's also news of a 2021 summit. Could you tell our viewers?
We are having November 2021, what is called AFRI Cities. This is going to be the 10th edition of AFRI Cities. AFRI Cities is held every 3 years in different African cities, bring together all people working in sub-national governments. Sub-national governments means provinces, counties, municipalities, and so on, to discuss how subnational governments in Africa are working and the lessons we can compare together, how subnational governments can grow their economies and the comparative lessons we learn. And now I attended the 9th edition AFRI-CITES in Morocco this last year. It's a very useful gathering. It brings together about 7,000 or 10,000 people. That's a big boost to the economy in terms of just hotel accommodation, tourism, transportation, and other things. So we are looking forward to
KISUMU ready? Will you be
We are working on it. By the way, I can tell you, as I sit here today,
yes.
Best Western is opening a hotel in Kisumu at the Lake Basin Mall. They built a hotel. It has been taken by Best Western. Marriott is already working on a hotel on Dunga Road. So some Kenyan was building a hotel there. Marriott is taking it over. Marriott is thinking of even doing bigger things in Kisumu eventually. So we are inviting all kinds of international brands to come to Kisumu. This helped the growth of the hotel industry because international brands expose you to the international market.
So how long is the conference?
The conference will be about a week.
A week.
It will be in
November 2021.
November 2021.
Oh, okay.
And we are telling everybody that wants to benefit from.
Obviously, Anyang, you know the World Cup changed South Africa.
Yes.
When they got it, this is a chance for you as a sitting governor to make sure Kisumu
And
shines.
by the way, it's an initiative not just by the county, but the national government as well. The president.
Tell us about how is that collaboration?
The collaboration, because we went to Marrakesh with the Minister for Devolution, and Kisumu bid to hold the next conference. And we got it, because you have to compete with other cities. This is the first time that AFRI-CITES is going to be held in what you call medium cities. Before it has been held in the big cities, Johannesburg, Nairobi, Cairo, and so on. But this time it's going to be held in Kisumu as the first medium city in Africa to hold it, which is a big challenge because we must create the infrastructure.
Obviously, being a visitor to your home and a personal friend of your family, I know your daughter, Lupita, who's become an international movie star and actually won an Oscar. How is she doing? How is her career?
Well, she's doing very well. She's been working very hard, and we are glad as a family that it's kept on growing. And really, the film industry is a very competitive industry. And to know that somebody from Kenya, she's got up there among the best, and she's worked very hard, and she deserves it as an individual, is a great pride, not just to Kenya, but to Africa as a whole. I will tell you that there are many South Africans, Senegalese, and so on, who are my friends, who send me all kinds of messages from their countries. I go somewhere and somebody learns you are the father of Lupita. I want to disappear because just too much embrace. It's sometimes embarrassing because I'm not Lupita. In fact, I think her mother Dorothy takes more credit for bringing her up than I do. But then, well, that is how life is.
But a lot of people say it in this way that, Senior Obama had a hand in Barack being born. And now we have Kipchoge, doing Unlimited. And obviously, Lupita is among those Kenyans like Wangari Maathai.
Well, to tell you the truth, when they were kids, we encouraged them to be thespians. My brother, my older brother, Agri, and I, we were thespians, and we belonged to the Phoenix Club. Unfortunately, the club is now dead. And by the way, Lupita made her first debut as Juliet at the age of 14 in the Phoenix Theater. So that really encouraged her that she could go places. But she started showing signs of being a thespian in nursery school. One day, she was going to Waridi Day Nursery School in Westlands. We went to a Parents' Day, and then the head teacher said, now we shall get the first year kindergarten kids to perform to you a skit. And they came in on stage. Who was leading the performers? It was Lupita with a song, Sisi wanafunzi, sisi wana waridi, waingie uwanja, hebu tingiza kidogo, wazazi waone. And she tingiza so well, they were surprised. This 5-year-old girl can tingiza so well. So on the way out home, we just joked with her mother that, you girl, you are born to be an actor. It entered her head, apparently. And
was it Stanford or was it Yale?
She was at Yale.
At Yale?
Yeah.
There's a drama school?
School of Drama.
What role do you think that, as well, the choices as parents, how to motivate Kenyans? You didn't see drama as something wrong, you know, whereas other people push their children doctor, lawyer, engineer. When you chose Yale and the drama school, to what extent?
Well, because we see, I mean, I was an actor in high school, you know that. And if at that point in time I knew that acting was rewarding, I would have tried to go to Hollywood. But anyway, so when she saw it, I said, well, you know, people, talents are different. You don't force somebody to be a doctor when obviously the inclination to be an artist or a footballer or a singer. Let them do what they think they can do best. Sometimes as parents, we want our kids to do the thing we would have wanted to be, but we never were. So you say, you must be a lawyer because I was, and I have an ambition for it. I never did it.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's sometimes it really doesn't do good to kids.
I was seeing today on Twitter there's some nomination she has.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, Point Blank is watched internationally.
Yeah.
And I think there's a new category. I didn't get it.
You know, there's so many to me. She has been being nominated for so many things. To tell you the truth,
yes.
I don't keep her so well with those things as the mother and the sisters do.
Yes.
So if Dorothy was here, she would have answered that question better than I do.
Yeah, in fact, I need to write a letter myself to LUPITA'S managers and see if we can talk to her sometime. But let me move on and ask you, in terms, Professor, of where you are now as a young, everything you've done, professor, author, a daughter of a movie, Oscar-winning daughter, all this you've done, minister in government, governor. What next for Anyang? Where is Anyang Nyong now? What's Anyang Nyong's ambition?
Well, I will tell you without a doubt that the public position as a governor is the last I'm holding in the public sector. The last, really. I think after that, I would like to be in academia, either a professor, professor emeritus, or just writing or doing something, but something that I grew up doing, really, and something that is in my blood, you know. But I had to sacrifice that for public good, to go into politics, because we wanted to get democracy into Kenya. We were fighting against authoritarian regime, and we could outsource our responsibility to somebody else. So we as young Turks got very involved in this, and it led us to electoral positions, and now we are here. But if God gives me more time on earth, I'll do something else after I finish being governor and say, look, I've made my contribution to the public sector. Like Othello said in the last chapter of that play, Othello, I have done the state some service, and they know it. No more of that.
Even if your friend Prime Minister RAILA ODINGA decides he's not done, and says, Anyang, could you at least give me one more push? Not for you to run, not for you to occupy office, but you know, you and RAILA have an interesting relationship, a long relationship.
That relationship will continue whether in public office or not. I mean, it's something that started in terms of what we shared as a matter of values and what we did, what we are doing in politics. But even if I leave politics, it will not end. I
want to talk to you about that as we are coming towards the end of the show. Where is RAILA at? What's driving him now? And what do you think he wants to leave as a legacy? Obviously, the handshake was completely different politics. Now there is a push towards finishing 20% of what was not good in the old constitution. Where is his heart?
I think his heart is where Martin Luther King's heart was when he gave his last sermon in Memphis. And I was just in Memphis recently. And I was in that church where he gave the sermon. And the next day he was assassinated. I mean, he predicted his assassination in many ways. He said, look, after I had talked about everything else, because I had gone to Memphis to join the street workers, you know, in their strike. And actually he was called to give that sermon. He was resting in the hotel, but he braved the rain and went to give it. And he has his notes, and he was preaching from his notes. At one point, he pushed his notes aside and said, I want to pick you from my heart. Yeah? And then he said, look, really what we want is big change in this country. We want to go to Canaan. And this big change is going to require a lot of sacrifice from all of us. And I'm telling you, I have been to the mountaintop, and I've seen Canaan. I may not get there with you, So what we are doing, at least what
we
I
as a
believe,
people
we as a people
will get to the promised land.
I mean, not, so when people are telling Raila, you're going to be president and so on, people don't understand. When he said, look, my concern now is not really the election 2022. We want to accomplish these changes. Sometimes he said he's just talking. But I have known him for a long time. He's not just talking. It's something he believes in very passionately, that unless we accomplish these changes, being president doesn't really count. You see what I mean? Now, you may say that we'll do all these things, and in the end, you are not a president. So what? I may not get there with you.
But
and
we,
indeed,
as a people,
if you go to Memphis today, it's a very different Memphis from where Martin Luther King was on that night before he was assassinated.
Some have compared Mandela shaking de Klerk's hand with Kenyatta shaking Odinga's hand, given the history of Jaramogi and Jomo. From where you sit, heart to hand, is Kenyatta and Odinga sincere, and are they jointly at the right place?
Well, look, I may not make that judgment because I think it requires
But
God.
this is point blank.
No, it's point blank, yes, but I'm also might tell you point blank. It requires God to give an answer to that statement, you know. Personally, I act in faith. And I may be wrong sometimes, but you see, in this earth, when you're in a position of leadership, you must be able to make decisions on the basis of evidence you see before you. If you find that you are wrong, unfortunately. But I think, as far as I'm concerned, because I'd been writing about it, because I'd even proposed something like a handshake, it gives me a lot of satisfaction and reward that actually it happened in my lifetime, and that we should build on it. If people don't believe in it, I cannot force them to believe in it, but at least given my history and my passion for having a fair and democratic society, everybody on that road that struggles for a fair democratic society, where we all count as equal as much as possible, and there's the equity and concern for your brothers and sisters' situation, we will work together.
So following your narrative, can I say this of Professor Nyong'o, that you've been up the mountaintop and you're not fearing any man?
No.
Because your eyes have seen the glory of the coming
I would
of
say so.
the Lord.
I mean, that's why when I was in that church in Memphis, and I actually stood where Martin Luther King was giving that sermon, something came to me, we must all be like Martin Luther King if we are going to save our country.
Well, you've been watching Point Blank here with my older brother, the governor of Kisumu County, and of course, wearing many hats of author and professor. He says he's done with politics and that he believes that there is the right spirit behind the handshake, and he would like to have seen it in his lifetime. Professor, asante sana, my brother.
Thank you.